Greetings, friends. Your cartoonist pal Stan here with a brand new episode of Random Encounters, the show where I use random encounter tables, like the kind you find in tabletop role playing games, such as Dungeons and Dragons, and together with input from Electronic Die Roller and you, the folks in the live chat room, I will generate a never before seen, randomly created drawing prompt. A who, a creature, usually a creature from D&D, and a what, a situation, or a costume, or something. And we get a who and a what, and we put them together, and we get this brand new thing, which I don't know what they're going to be, but I do know that once we know, I'm going to draw them. And you guys are going to help there too. You're going to help give input for how to interpret this drawing prompt. What should we lean on? What kind of gag should we go for? Sometimes let's throw out that idea and pick a new one because this is all about having fun. This is based off a drawing exercise. Makes it sound too fancy or too serious, but just a kind of a drawing fun activity that I used to do for myself, and you know now I do it for you guys because I want to encourage everyone to draw just for fun because drawing is fun. People often ask me, "How did you get so good? What is it? What's the secret?" And the answer really is to just do it all the time for fun, and and the joy comes into it, and the practice is what gets you good. In the end, it's like anything else. You put in the hours practicing, and skill is what comes out the other end. Hello, Robert Kemp and Bernard Canna and Doc Void. Thank you all for joining. We got a bunch of people tonight. I'm guessing some of you may have seen, gotten the link to this off the Thursday show, the Green Ronin Thursday show, which went on this afternoon, which I watch just about every week whenever I'm in front of my computer at that hour. Big fans of my friends at Green Ronin and uh, the age system, the fantasy age, modern age, and thankfully, for those who don't know, this is a show that supports the age, what is a something engine, something game engine, action game engine? I don't remember. Um, it's terrible. I really need to know that. Anyway, it's their show about the age system, and they have lots of fun folks on, and it's very entertaining to watch. And while I'm watching there, very often I will take something that they say, if it strikes me funny, and I'll do a quick cartoon and send it in, and then that gets shown towards the end of the show. So I encourage you, check them out. Green Ronin Publishing on YouTube. Check out the channel, subscribe to that, and you can watch all the shows on replay. And if you're available on a Thursday afternoon, come and watch it live like me. Adventure Game Engine, thank you, Doc. It was in my brain. It's just my brain didn't want to let it go. Hello, Pierce Waters. Thank you for coming in. Good to see you, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Hello, Michael in chat. Good to see you too. We got a large crowd here, which means it's time for me to stop yapping and blabbing and get to doing some drawing. So, I will do what I usually do. I will grab my iPad Pro. I do all of my drawing here on an iPad Pro using an Apple Pencil and the app Procreate. That's what I use in my professional work. I do it for most of my fun work too these days, although I still do a lot of scribbling in notebooks and such. Um, and I say that this is not sponsored, no sponsorship from any of them. I say that because people ask, and I like to inform people, let you know. Have a little sip of that, and now we'll come on over here, and I will flip over here so you can see what's going on my iPad. These are the encounter tables that we will be using this evening. Did I get rated from home office hours? I don't know. No, you know what? Hey, Devious, good to show you. I got rated from. Yes, I guess it must be from the home office hours. You know what? Troy ran so late on the Thursday show today. He didn't have a chance to eat dinner. I wouldn't be surprised if his office hours kind of went a little short. He encouraged people to come here. I'll take it. I'll take people any way I can get them. Anyway, here we go. These are the encounter tables. I'm going to come over here where I've got an electronic die roller, and we're going to roll a black die and a white die and get ourselves a first prompt. So it's an 8 on the white die and a 5 on the black die, which gets us a leprechaun flossing their teeth. Flossing, or it doesn't have to be their teeth. It's flossing teeth. So it could be leprechauns flossing someone else's teeth. We get to interpret that. But here we go. I'm going to turn off that and turn on. I like to do my sketching in blue. This is a throwback to when I was working in physical media at the start of my career. A lot of cartoonists and a lot of cartoonists that still work in physical media do their sketching in what's called non-reproductive blue, because the cameras that shoot and do the reproductions for printing don't pick up that blue. So I got in the habit of doing my sketching in blue, and now I just do it because it makes me feel good. It doesn't. I don't actually get any bonus to it because it's on its own layer, and I can drop it out. It could be any color, but having it a different color, you'll see as I do this, having it as a different color is helpful in that when I go to do the inks, I can see the difference much more clearly if the sketches are one color and the final drawing is another color. Leprechaun could be making a joke about the Tooth Fairy. Yeah, or the Leprechaun could be filling in for the Tooth Fairy. Hello, Carrie Forrestal or Carrie Andrew. I accept your greetings from Maryland and I send them back. Finn Lucky Charms. Okay, so let's see. The other thing I thought about was how big dental floss would be to a leprechaun. So if we had here, let me just go up a size here. If we had a leprechaun pulling dental floss that's like the size of a mountain climbing rope. That could be funny. Of course, the leprechaun would. I don't know. I was about to put the leprechaun in a towel, but if I'm going to have the bowler hat on him, I guess he's not going to be in his bathroom gear. If you have any ideas, drop them in the chat. It's tough for me to keep an eye on the chat all the time, but I like to look up and see what you guys are thinking and to work it in as much as possible. Another thing, we could have someone here and a leprechaun handing him a dental floss, a packet of dental floss, and as you guys said, he could be saying, It's from me cousin the Tooth Fairy. She says use at her house." "Me cousin the Tooth Fairy says you'd better start using this if you know what's good for you." I'm kind of liking that idea, though the large dental floss is a cute one too. I don't know. I'm kind of torn. What do you guys think? If I do this enough, maybe they'll lay off a Tooth Fairy. I'm leaning towards this one, so I think that's what I'm going to do. Though I do like this. I, in a perfect world, I'd do both of them. I feel like I kind of want to save this layer so I can come back to it later. So I'm going to add a second sketch layer and save that. We'll come in here and do it. Okay, so we're going to need someone here, and they're going to have just bad teeth. And over here, maybe it'll be a bathroom sink. Although that's not the place you'd really expect to see a leprechaun. It is a place you'd expect to see dental floss. So, kind of need to play around with that idea some. These are all what we're doing here on the show. For those of you who are here for the first time, and welcome, by the way, is we're not trying to get a finished drawing. I try to do 3 cartoons in an evening, and so these are all rough ideas that we're coming up with on the cuff, and sometimes they'll turn out very well, but usually it'll be the start of an idea that if it's good, I might go back and finish. I have taken ideas that have begun on this show and turned them into cartoons that I've sold or published, and into stickers. I've done a bunch of them that I've eventually made into stickers that I sold or given away. And then he's going to be saying something like, It's from me cousin the Tooth Fairy. She says you'd best be using it if you know what's good for you. I'm sure that Kerry, if no one else, is a little raising an eyebrow at my Irish accent, my terrible Irish accent, my completely Hollywood TV, not the way people really talk Irish accent. It's like what you find on an old episode of Batman or some sound like Chief O'Hara. Faith and Begorra. All right, there we go. That is our sketch. We're going to work from there. Let's see. Ooh, Nate and Duke, Dale. Wow, we got a large crowd tonight, and I love it. Okay, so we will jump over here and switch over to the lines layer. And now, as I said before, those who haven't seen it before, I can draw over the top of this sketch. And because the lower one is in blue, I can see very clearly what I've got. we got ourselves a cute little leprechaun. Holding out a packet to this guy with bad teeth. Some of these things, like the sink, after you've been drawing, I was saying before that the answer to how you get to be good is practice. The other thing, besides just the improvement that you get, is when you do a lot of drawing and you draw a lot of different stuff, you wind up with it's like having a closet full of costumes from having done cosplay a lot. You wind up with a lot of little hats and trinkets and things that you can use going forward and make it easier. Well, the drawing version of that is, well, I've drawn a sink for a lot of different things, so I've got a rough idea. I don't have to worry about it. I'll just pick one of the sink ideas I've previously used out of my head, and we'll just go from there. Got here again. Well, I guess I haven't said it tonight. The One of the keys to doing this kind of drawing, really any kind of drawing, but it's easier to see when you're doing this kind of fast drawing, is to stick with simple shapes. Everything is made up of simple shapes hooked together. So there we go. This one's coming together actually pretty quickly. And now we'll have him say, because of the Tooth Fairy says, let's see. You'd better be using this. Or else. Again, like I say, this is the prototype idea for what a cartoon about this subject might be. This, particularly this phrasing, with too wordy, maybe a little too on the nose, but there's enough there to play around with, and that's what we're trying to do here in these, just quick cartoon ideas, quick improv-y cartoon ideas. All right, I'm going to turn the sketch. Oh, I did it again. I thought I was drawing on the lines layer, but I accidentally. Oh, you saw me. You saw me go for the lines layer, right? You back me up on this. You saw me. Unfortunately, I don't work with one of those drawing gloves on, and as a result, I will sometimes, because I'm working on a touch screen, inadvertently hit the undo button, and I hit the undo button on um, on moving over to the lines layer. And so we did all the drawing on the sketch layer, which means I can't separate the blues and the blacks. They're all on one layer. And this is a mistake that anyone drawing digitally will do. You will do this. And you'll have to remake this mistake over the years. You'll make the same mistake many, many times. This is not going to be a finished drawing, so I'm not going to worry about it. We will just leave those blue lines and add some coloring in anyway. Do the drawing with something which is very much like a regular art pen or brush pen. I do the coloring in the brush's name is Gloaming, and it's kind of a cross between a marker and watercolor, and it lets me get this kind of markery, crayony feeling and do quick style coloring, kind of thing like you might get if you were doing coloring in a coloring book. Oh yeah. I'm making myself angry that I drew on the same level. Because the blues are now going to sit on top of the colors. So sad. Let's see. We'll take a little purple for this guy's shirt, maybe. Give him some kind of brownish hair. And we want the cabinet. Cabinet top. Metallic silver for the spigot. Alright, well, I mean, I could go in there and erase some of the blues. This seems like a silly... See, I can't, but anywhere the blue goes under the black, I can't touch it because it'll erase the black. Now, if you're doing this, if I was doing this for a finished piece, there are things I could do with the app to try and lift the blue out or lift the black off. But they're complicated and I don't remember them off the top of my head. Every time I have to do it, I have to look it up again. I've got a little notebook and saved a digital page with all the instructions on how to do these things. Thankfully, I don't do them. The reason I don't remember is I thankfully don't do them that often. But when I do, it's annoying. And after I look up how to fix this, I will remember for the next few weeks anyway. Alright, well, there we go. I will come back and put my little stand in the bottom because mistakes and all, warts and all, it's a fun little drawing and we take credit for it. there we have our drawn on the wrong layer Leprechaun and dental floss. It's a good reason for me to go back and revisit those sketches I did at the beginning and maybe try this again in a more finished format. And do the other one with a really big dental floss also. Oh well. Yeah, if you want the gold grill, you've got to floss first. It's a good one, Michael. Um, uh, Gotta get to bed, Sam, but I gotta say your work is blown me. Oh, thank you, Doc, and thank you for dropping in. I know, talk about the fact that time zones are difficult. I've got some people I was talking to earlier who were saying it was going to be 2 a.m. where they were when we did this. I'm thinking about doing some more. I don't know if they will be every week events, but doing more streams during the days, maybe middle of the day my time, around noon Pacific time, somewhere late in the morning or early in the afternoon, which would be more convenient for folks in Europe and less so in Asia. But I want to cultivate an international audience. And if I want to cultivate an international audience, I need to make it convenient for people in any time zone to come and hang out with Stan. um, Thank you, Devious. Thank you very much. I'm quick, but I got a lot of energy. So let's see. Let's take this off the screen so I can stop looking at it. Turn back on the encounter tables. Go and turn on group 2 and the sketch, which is where we'll start. Blue line, the correct pen. Okay. Well, a decent enough little drawing. Oh, let me have a sip and. A decent enough little drawing. We had a leprechaun with flossing their teeth, or teeth flossing. It wasn't their teeth if you go and look at the drawing. But I made a mistake. If you're just skipping ahead to this point in the video, you know I made a mistake. I'm going to try not to make that same mistake in the second drawing. But before I can give that a go, we got to go back to the encounter tables one more time and see what our second drawing is going to be. So here we go. Let's roll the dice, roll the dice, roll the dice. And we get a 9 and an 8, which is going to be an imp. We had a leprechaun, and now we got an imp. Imp Lobster Dinner. 9 and 8. Imp Lobster Dinner. That's that's an interesting one. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't have an immediate thought. Right, so a D&D imp is a a little devil creature with bat wings and a scorpion tail. But they're also very, very tiny. So let's zoom in here. One of the things I'm thinking is we might have the imp. One of the things you get with a lobster dinner is you get a big bib. So we could have the imp here and a big lobster here. It could be, we could not even have it be the dinner itself. He could be coming for the dinner. Right? The imp's got a big fork and knife, and the lobster's just looking at him. That's one way we could handle this. The scream is your favorite part? Oh, you're a cruel, cruel person, Michael. Those of you who don't know, when you boil lobsters, they in the boiling, there's a lot of moisture and air trapped inside the lobster shell, and while they're cooking, it will escape as steam, and it sounds like the lobster is screaming, which can be very it can be very disconcerting. I mean, I kind of like this as a rough layout, just broadly looking at it. I don't know what the gag is, if there is even one, and because it's a very horizontal drawing in a square format. I I think I'm gonna go with this, so I don't. Let's say I don't really have a gag to go with it. Thinking something about threatening him to get in the drawn butter. I like this. Okay, so we're going to go to the lines layer and make sure we stay on the lines layer in order to do that. I'm going to do this. So why did I just do that? Um, with this app, like I say, because it's a touch screen, there's a possibility, and because I'm not wearing one of those drawing gloves, there's a possibility that I could cause an undo it to be triggered by my hand. But with this app, the other thing is it will only undo as long as you keep it open and keep drawing. If I close the drawing, it won't undo back beyond that. So, having moved over to the lines layer, I close the drawing, and now when I come back, it can't undo to before that. So, we're good to go. All right, let's see. Now, imps have big noses. And you can look up a D&D imp. And imp is kind of generic sounding, but for those who play D&D, you'll know that an imp has a very specific kind of look in D&D. And although it'll change a bit from edition to edition, it's fairly true across all of them. They've got these big noses and big ears and the bat wings, and as I said before, the scorpion tail. So, I want to give him a big bib. That I'll draw a little more on later. Because very often a lobster bib will have a drawing of a lobster on it. So now here's another benefit of working digitally is I know that that fork is going to go in the foreground up in front of these wings, but I can so easily change it that I'm just going to draw the wings. It'll also go in front of the ear. I can just take them out like that. If I'm drawing, when I'm drawing in a physical medium, it's not that, erasers work, but not as well as uh, as digitally just removing it. And give him a little scorpion-ish tail. Now, for the second one, I am gonna just try not to interfere with the fork. We'll put a lobster on the bib because that seems very cruel. Hi, surreptitious. Glad you could make it tonight. And there's let me just see. So now, so you can see what I didn't do last time because I put them on separate layers. I can drop that sketch out from it completely. See how much cleaner that is when I do it right? Hey, Kerry Andrew, you remember when back in college? So Kerry and I went to college together, and he came from the east end of Long Island, and one time after a weekend home, we had all pitched in some money, and he brought back some fresh caught lobster to the dorms, and we borrowed the resident director's oven and had ourselves a little or a stove to have a little lobster party. In the meanwhile, once the lobsters arrived, of course, being dumb college students, some folks hadn't ever seen a live lobster, and so and we brought them live. They'd been in a ice chest, but they were still alive when they got there, and some people never having seen them wanted to take them out, and they wound up having lobster races down the hall in the dorm, and a lot of other silly things that happen when you're dumb kids. I, however, also grew up in an area where, although uh, we didn't have them all the time, it was I was on a different part of Long Island, so lobsters were pretty easy to get, not cheap, not common, but I was well familiar with not just eating lobsters but cooking them. So here we go. Our lobster here. I'm thinking Are you sure you don't have a shellfish allergy? I'm thinking the imp is saying something like, "Hey, buddy, I got it. Want to?" Oh, I'm trying to get this idea into words. Basically, inviting him into a drawn butter jacuzzi. I got a nice drawn butter jacuzzi if you want to relax. I'm just putting some little sand. Oh, that one looks like a poop. Don't want to put that there. Little nuggets of sand. There, we can make that seem like the water's edge. And then a horizon line here. I think this is looking pretty funny. Just on its own, I think it's a little goofy and funny. Maybe it'd be the lobster saying, "No, I don't want to go to your, I don't want to see your drawn butter jacuzzi." No. Ooh, you know what? I'm going to come back and do that on the sketch layer. So much easier to sketch it out first. No, I don't want to see your drawn butter. Is that jacuzzi right? Jacuzzzi? Someone look that up for me, please. JUC might be two C's, but I think it's Jacuzzzi. Do me a favor, look that up. Someone put in the chat if I'm right or wrong. Maybe we're going to get a bigger no. No. I'm going to show you another thing that's good to do here. When you're working digitally, you want to, when you're cartooning, have your lettering line up in a pleasing way. It's the kind of thing that people who just kind of quickly throw together graphics with comics or illustrations they pull off online, very often they don't spend enough time thinking about how the lettering is going or lining up, and it actually it makes a big difference in uh, how the final thing reads. Okay, apparently yes, I spelled it right. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. This amuses me. I don't know that it amuses anyone else as much as it does me, but that's part of the beauty of this kind of thing. I encourage you all to draw. I didn't say it outright before. I encourage everyone to draw along with me. Get your own pad and paper, your own sheets of printer paper or a notebook or something. Grab a pencil, grab a ballpoint pen, grab a crayon. Draw your own thing. You don't have to do the same thing I'm doing. Any of these ideas that I'm putting on here that you think, this other thing would be funnier, draw it yourself. Have the fun. Have the fun. And then show it to your friends. It's your drawing. You don't have to tell them that you did it in conjunction with me, or if you want to, you can. I'm certainly saying not to. But you will have your own thing, and it'll be funny. It'll be your funny thing. All right. So now, imps are usually red. Problem with that is lobsters are also usually red. There's a lot of red in this drawing. Although I don't think imps have to be red. I might make this one blue. I'm not sure. I think imps are usually red. You know what though? We will go for a different red. It's another thing a lot of people don't think about when they're doing coloring or other just little fun artistic exercises, is you can, just because two things are the same broad color, there's a lot of difference in colors. Clearly, these are both reds, but you wouldn't mistake them for each other, and it helps the drawing out a lot to have them not be exactly the same color. Make his tongue purple. Now, in order to give this bib a little sense of texture, putting those blue lines like shadows on it. I'm going to use a blue-gray on the silverware. I'm going to come back in and go a little darker, put a little bit of shading on the underside of every shape in the lobster. Like so. The imp is so thin that I don't think there's really much room for doing shading on the imp. But if I come over here, we can put some yellow on the sand. And some darker blue for the water. And lighter blue up here. Oop, it's not bright enough. For the sky, so it takes up, come back a little. There we go. And I think I'm going to come here with I don't know, maybe a yellow on his eyes, just to give him that worried look. Put a little shading on the eyes to give him a little worried look. But we've got here a an imp getting ready for a lobster dinner. So I will come back to the inking layer, and as I said, always put your name at the bottom. Good or bad, it's worth saying I did this thing and taking the pride in having done it. It doesn't have to be good. Like I say, it's for fun, but you did it. And there we have it. We've got ourselves like Michael. I suppose that is what I just said. Draw it yourself. Don't tell me what to do. Draw it. You want to see something else? Go draw it yourself. I didn't mean it that way. Except I kind of did. I want you to draw it for yourself because it's going to be so much fun. All right, there we go. We have ourselves a Imp Lobster Dinner. Kinda. I think that in the end, that Imp's red is a little, because he's such a fine, thin, uh, thin-lined character, that color is overwhelming it a little. So if I come down here and drop the opacity just a smidge, just like 10-15%, that's going to make the... See how the color is so much stronger and it kind of overwhelms those lines. But if I drop it 10 or 15%, it drops back a bit and you can see the lines. I can make it even lighter. You see the lines more and more until the color's almost gone. That's opacity. It's how much you can see through that layer to what's below it. But there we have ourselves an Imp Lobster Dinner. I have myself a sip of my soda there, and yeah, yeah. I'm gonna take a little step away from this for a second, uh, because I want to talk to you a little bit about. I should have prepared an image for this. What can I do? What can I do? You can tell I planned ahead, right? Um, go to. Oh, I know what I want to do. Yeah, this is so interesting for you, seeing me type on my iPad when you can't see what I'm typing. You can't see anything about it. Sorry, that's just how it's going right now. As I'm trying to. Ugh, that's not helping at all. How's your day going? You all having a good day? Oh, I'm unprepared. I may have to stop what I'm trying to do here because I did not set myself up for success. You're going to do a live show like this? Here's a piece of advice for you. Get everything prepared ahead of time. Don't try to don't try to figure things out last minute while you're doing a live stream, while people are watching you. It just makes you look unprofessional. I have enough problems there. Okay, let me see if this will work. So, if I come here, oh, look at that. And I come here. There's a few things going on. Right. All right. Here we go. I want to tell you about the GoFundMe campaign I have going on right now. Those of you who've been watching the show know that in August I took most of the month off because I had COVID, uh, coupled together with um, just general economic problems that are hitting everyone. Got myself in a little bit of a bind. So I've put out a GoFundMe campaign, and it is here. It's called Support My Creative Comeback After COVID. Basically, because GoFundMe says you should do this, you'll have more success. Anyway, that's going on now. I'd really appreciate it if you could have a look, and even if I'm not saying that you necessarily need to be the ones to make any contribution. I know that several of you have, and I am super appreciative. But as with all these things, part of the big key is getting the word out. And so this is me using this platform to get the word out. I currently have a GoFundMe to help me cover some of the losses that I had over the summer and some of the bigger economic problems that have come through. As a freelancer, uh, you're always on the edge of disaster. And I've danced that edge a long time. It's the first time that I've gotten to the point where things were bad enough that I thought, I should ask for some help. So I am. Have a look. Support my creative comeback after COVID on GoFundMe.com. You can see that cartoon, which I think is a pretty funny cartoon, despite the fact that it's, about how terrible things were going. And I'll tell you, one of the things I'm looking at doing, people have been very generous. This already has been so successful. It's not, I, it's not like there's not further success to be had, but people have been so generous and giving in the first week of this that I've realized that I need to do something to show my thanks, my gratitude. So I'm going to be doing some short videos about things like how I got here and how this could happen to a lot of other creative, how it has happened and how it could happen. Just kind of review what happened. Also, talk in general. This is what business is like as a freelancer, and this is how things are going. Bunch of stuff like that will be coming out, and I'll be releasing it for the folks who are supporting the campaign. If you are interested in that kind of thing, there's another little bonus. I think I'm also going to be putting together a little thank you PDF of materials to send around to folks who have helped out. So I want to make sure I show proper gratitude. And that I don't take this for granted at all. When I decided to put this together, I was like, well, it might work. Might not. So, having said all that, although Michael brought up another thing that I could show you, I'll have to wait till next week for that. I'll tell you, though, that my friend and co-worker, former boss, Bill Slavisek, who is a game designer, award-winning game designer, working on Elder Scrolls Online now, has published a couple of D&D adventures that he wrote for convention use a few years back, and he asked me to illustrate them for him, and they've just been released this week. So you can buy his adventures, and they've got a cover and interior art by me. So if you enjoy the stuff we're doing here, you might want to check that out. All right, let's come back here. That's the end of our begathon for now. Yeah, no, Michael, if you got the links, please share them. Please share them. You can find that there. Who takes less of a cut, Patreon, Substack, or GoFundMe? It's about the same. The only if you're thinking about things like that, the some amount of the money gotten through Patreon counts as a gift and so is not taxable. I don't know exactly what percentage of that is. That's a reason to err on the Patreon on the GoFundMe side. But all of those platforms charge a processing fee, which is based on what they're charged for running credit cards, and some small thing above it. It's somewhere in the 3 to 5%. About 3%. I know that the GoFundMe is the closest to 3% of them all, but all three of them, it's a relatively small cut. So there you go. I hope that answers the question, Michael. I will now close out round 2 and open up round 3. Turn back on the encounter tables. Have one more sip of my soda. Like so. And yes, I'm just making sure things are correct here on my desktop, and we'll do the thing one more time. We had an imp getting ready for a lobster dinner. That was our second drawing. Our first drawing was a leprechaun flossing teeth, and now we're going to go back and roll the dice one more time, get one more prompt, and draw that. You ready? You ready? I'm ready. Let's do it. So come here, and we'll move over, and we'll roll the dice, and roll, 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 and roll. And we get a 1 and a 4. 1 and a 4. So that's a Ghoul Seesaw. Ghoul Seesaw. All right. That's interesting. Sometimes these come together and they are, when I'm putting, certainly I don't think ahead of time, what am I going to do if I get this? But, when I'm making the encounter tables, little ideas begin to pop together or natural connections pop together. Hadn't ever really considered what I'd do if a Ghoul and Seesaw came up, but let's see. So, at the very least, we'll start. We need a seesaw. Got a playground, we got a seesaw. Right. Now the question, I guess the immediate question is, if we got a seesaw, he's seesawing with his ghost working, because the ghost... I mean, we certainly could have a ghoul down on this end, and a ghost up on this end. And the ghoul could be saying, like, you're not even trying. Want to try the swings instead. Trying to figure out. So what I was doing there is trying to figure out where to put the mouth on the ghost. Right, I've got this ghost zoom in tight. I've got the ghost. I've got drawn got eyes and a head shaped like this, and I wanted to put the mouth down here, but it was running into the arm. So I've now moved it all the way off to the side, and that'll probably work better. Not sure that we couldn't get a better gag out of this, but I think this one's kind of cute. So we'll start. I want to do the ghoul. I always say start with the part you're most confident in. In this case, for the ghoul to work, I think I like to draw ghouls with black eyes. I don't know why. It's not the white of the eye, the black of the eye. I've been doing enough. Now, you may notice this on the Necromancer game from Kobold Press. Here, let me do another little plug for me here. There's a new game that came out about over the summer, right around Gen Con, called Necromancer card game from Kobold Press. Look at that. What a nice box. All of the art by me. By me. For that game, I had to draw a bunch of different kind of undead creatures repeatedly. A lot of zombies, a lot of several ghouls. And so I came up, and they asked me to do my own take on them. Mm-hmm. One of the selling points for the game was going to be my art. So I was invited to have my take on what a ghoul looked like, rather than trying to match an existing ghoul style sheet, right? Because a D&D ghoul looks a little different from a Pathfinder ghoul. Looks a little different from every game is going to have their own take on it. So I got to create my take on ghouls. And now, when I'm drawing something like this, I have a take. So there you go. Check out Necromancer. It's a fun game. I did not do the game design. My friend Jeff Quick did. It's a fun game, and based on a concept and original design by Wolfgang Bauer, the head of Kobold Press. It's a really good game, and it's got fantastic art. I can say that without any hesitation. Fantastic art. If you like the art on this show, for sure, you're going to like the art on the Necromancer card game. Uh, it should be available in game stores all over the place. If it's not at your local game store, you can encourage them to order it. It's available from Kobold Press. And if for some reason they don't want to, you can order it directly from Kobold Press. KoboldPress.com. Tell them Stan sent you. Alright, so there's our little kobold. Now here's one of the things I like about this particular app is drawing straight lines. When I talk to people about drawing, they will often say to me, "Oh, I can't draw a straight line," and they're very often surprised to hear me say, "Neither can I. Drawing straight lines is hard." Make it like that's one of the easy things. It's not. But the app will take what I just did there is if you draw a roughly straight line, the app will snap it into a straight line, and it will also put it to particular angles if you want it to. Now, I'm not worried about that so much, but I did want the straight line, and the app makes it super easy to do it. Does the same thing as see with circles. Rough circle snaps into a perfect circle. Now, here's the thing. I don't want to draw the ghost in black. In fact, I want to draw the ghost in maybe even a sharper blue than the sketch. So I'm going to lighten that up and draw over it, because I want this ghost to seem immaterial. But I want you to be able to see through the ghost. So we're going to use blue instead of black. And then we'll give them this little bit of motion. And we'll come back to the black and draw the ground. All right. We'll put the words in later. I'm still thinking it's going to be something like, "You're not even trying," but I'm still thinking about it. This was way more fun when you were alive. I like that, Michael. I think that right now you've now moved. I think that will be the winner. Never mind. All right, so that's what that's looking like. And we're going to go back to our gloaming brush. I'd like to make the ghouls kind of a pale yellow skin color. Definitely a purple tongue. I like to give a lot of my monstrous character's purple tongues. We'll maybe like blue jeans of a sort. There we go. Now our ghost want to use some light blue just to highlight. We want it to be white, but to feel like there's some kind of ghostly depth going on there. We need a wood color for the seesaw itself, but where we're looking through the ghost, I'm going to make that a lighter color. Again, give that idea that the ghost is see-through, but slightly shaded so you can tell when you're looking through the ghost. There we go. I could put a little, I don't know. If I was doing this as a cartoon, I would say, I'd look at this and say, you know what, the seesaw works and the foreground works, but it's just float. You should be able to see something in the background. I would draw something like, let me come here and go to a different layer. I would draw something like, I don't know, a hedge or school building or something in the background. Maybe a swing set. Put something in the background to help fill this out. We don't need it here because it's just a sketch, as I say before. But let's see, what did you say there? Hello, Nate Robbins. Next time I could have a sumo wrestler standing on a brick. What's the ghost's favorite barbecue food? This feels like a joke. All right, so we're going to come back to the sketch layer, and we're going to have our goblin saying, "Oop." This was more fun when you were alive. Is that too? I don't know. Now that I'm writing that out, I'm like, that feels like you have to worry sometimes. Or you don't have to worry. You need to think about how people are going to react. Right? There's a funny gag, and it's a funny gag no matter what. But phrase it certain ways, and that's when you get people go, "Ooh, that's a little bit icky." And I'm not sure. I think that alive is a problem there. I think that it would be better if it was living. you know, before you died. It's just, this is a weird, it, again, thinking about it more professionally than we really need to today. But thinking about it, if I was going to try and do this to try and sell it to someone, um, oh, you know what? Here we go. Here we go. I've solved this problem right now. Here's what it is. It's not when you were alive. It's when we, because he's undead too, right? I mean, this joke would be arguably funnier if they were both ghosts and they weren't going anywhere. Um, but this works. This works well too. When we were alive, and therefore you're not casting. The part of it seems to phrase the other way. It seems like he's blaming the ghost for having died, which then kind of again gets into that weird, unpleasant realm. Uh, but all right, I like it. I like this. Okay, here we go. But if we have the ghoul include himself in it, that relieves some of those bad interpretations that someone might have. Now I can turn off the sketch layer. We have ourselves. This was more fun when we were alive. I can stick a little stand in the corner because I think we got ourselves a nice little drawing. Nate says the shared darkness takes away the ickiness. Yeah, yeah. This is why we work as a team. We bounce ideas off one another. We yes and. We take an idea. We move it a little, shift things around. Uh, Nate says I should take all these together and put them in a calendar. So I did a calendar last year. In fact, I've got it sitting right here. Did a calendar with the art from the 50 Years in a Dungeon. I tell you, the problem with calendars, I love it. It came out great. I've still got 15 or 20 of them. Here we are in September into October. They're really things I'm just going to have to give away at this point. There's absolutely no way I'm selling a 2025 calendar in September and October. But let's say the art, it's 12 really nice prints of the cartoon homages I did as part of the show. And that's really the problem with calendars, is that they have a very small window in which to sell, and they're not cheap to print. It's so what I'm thinking of doing is putting together a calendar that you can buy digitally and print on demand. So you can get it, I can sell them, and if you want to pay the price, you can get it printed and hang it on your wall. Or you can get the digital one and print it on your home printer and hang it on your wall. And in that case, it doesn't have to just be, I can do several of them. Right? I did this one last time, and I certainly could have done ones with cartoons from this show and other things I've done. But it's just, it's prohibitively expensive, well, to print these things because they're such a risky sales proposition. Anyway, Goblin on the Seesaw. The end. Woo boy! This is it's a fun evening. Always is, but this is a good fun evening. Let me see what's going on here in the. Oh yeah, cemetery for the background. That would be a good one too. That would be even easier to draw, and particularly with this gag, that would be a really good background image. I think you've lost a few pounds since the last time we did this. That's funny too. Lots of good suggestions. Lots of good stuff going on. All right. Let me come here and straighten that up. Close that. Let's see, Nate says, maybe if you just had a site that people could subscribe to and it would update every day with a digital calendar. That's an idea worth thinking about. I don't have an immediate reaction to that other than that's an idea worth thinking about, Nate, and I will. I will think about it. I have things that people can subscribe to right now with the Patreon and the Substack. Could do a Substack, which is each day is a new calendar page. But not. I don't think that answers your suggestion well. I'm not knocking your suggestion. I'm knocking my interpretation of how to possibly solve it. All right. Let's have another sip and then do an outro and get on with our weekends. Michael, you know what? I tell you, one of the things I did a number of years ago, I did for 1 year, I did as a thing, actually, I just gave it away. It wasn't specifically for Patreon or subscribers. I did a monthly coloring calendar page, which came with a calendar for the month and a coloring coloring book style image. So you could print it out and color it out and put it on your wall, and you'd have a calendar each month. It was fun. It worked out fine. I wound up using that as those images again a few years later in a print-on-demand coloring calendar that you could download, which did okay. So again, all of which is to say, you guys are right, and sometime in the next month or so, I will be putting together some kind of calendar thing for folks to interact with, because it's a very good idea. All right, ready? Are we ready? Got a goblin on the seesaw, a goblin and a ghost, as it turns out, on the seesaw. That was our third option tonight. Our second was an imp in Lobster Dinner. And we started off the evening where I drew on the wrong layer, but still came up with the Leprechaun and Dental Floss. Those were our three drawings this evening. That's where we're at. And that's where I'm at. Thank you all for joining me. We had a lot of fun a lot of good conversation going on in the chat. A lot of great suggestions from people, and I think better cartoons for it. So thank you all. As always, it's a lot of fun hanging out and drawing with you. As I say, this show is about how much fun drawing is, and maybe for you the fun is hanging out while I draw. That's great. I'm here. Let's do it. But I'm going to keep encouraging you to do some drawing on your own also. So next week, bring some paper and a drawing implement and join me. Or over the course of this week, do some drawing on your own. Just draw random stuff. Random encounters, whatever you encounter randomly. Give it a little sketch. And you know what? If you take a picture of it and send it to me, I'll share it here on the show if you're willing. And if you're not, you can just send it to me and I'll enjoy it privately. Because I don't, gotta ask permission before you share someone's stuff publicly. So, this has been another fine episode of Random Encounters. You can, if you like this kind of stuff, if you like what I'm doing and you want to help support my activities and encourage me to do more, you may want to become a member of my Patreon. You've got a Patreon community at patreon.com/Stanex. And lots going on there, lots of different levels you can sign up for, including a free one. So just go check it out. If you want to see other stuff I do, I have a Wednesday night show on this same network, wherever you're watching it, called 50 Years in the Dungeon, where I interview folks who've worked in the tabletop gaming world. And while we talk, I do drawings of classic pieces of gaming art. And there's a free newsletter for that show over at 50yearsinthedungeon.substack.com. 50 Years in the Dungeon being the name of the show. And if you subscribe to that, free, you will be the first people to see the finished cartoons when they're done, and you'll get information on what's coming up in the coming week, who the guests will be, what the drawings will be, all different kinds of stuff like that. So I encourage you, please, go over and sign up for free. 50yearsinthedungeon.substack.com. Also, this Sunday will be the last sumo show episode for the current Fall Grand Sumo Tournament that's going on in Tokyo this week. We will wrap up our coverage of that tournament and reveal who the winners of our Fantasy Oyakata game is. So you might want to tune that in. That'll be Sunday evening at 7 p.m. Pacific. Not on this channel, but if you go to sumoshow.com, it'll take you to the YouTube channel for the show. So I encourage you to go check that out. I'll show you what's so awesome about sumo. I love sumo, and I love introducing new people to the sport. So, thank you all very much. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you. I hope you have a good weekend and that I will see you again real soon. Till then,